So guys, now I want to show you how you set up your first experiment using the ESM tools. It's going to be a standard experiment, very small and very easy one. And you will have time enough to think about how to change that to something more interesting and complex later, but just to show you the general principle. So right now, I'm in the ESM master folder. You see there's RBCM test that we compiled before, so we need to make sure that the binaries actually exist, of course. Now, my suggestion is that you take one of the standard run scripts and copy it somewhere else so that you can freely edit and apply this to your needs. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm making a new folder here that I call scripts. And then I'm going to take one of the standard ones that is an ESM run scripts RBCM. And there you see there's a whole lot of them. And actually there's one that I just adapted to my needs already so that I don't have to do it right now. This is this one here, monthly run from initial conditions on Mistral where I'm at right now. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to copy it here and give it another name just to be quicker. There it is. And now I'm going to show you the stuff that you need to adapt and change. So if you look here in the first part, there's just a few general settings that are valid for the computer, but that you don't need to adapt later anymore. So very important is that this function path here is set correctly. It needs to point to this folder, all of the ESM run scripts. Make sure that this part here is correct. Sometimes in these default ones there is work up here, sometimes it's home. And I have this in a subfolder called for workshop, so I had to adapt this. Then make sure that you have the right machine name, which should be the case because you took the script for the correct machine. Now that was a ship just passing by and you might have heard it. Setup name should be correct already. On Mistral, you need to specify the account that is used to pay, let's say, for the run that you're about to do. Of course, ABO995 is the RB account. Compute time should be okay. You have initial date and final date. So I chose here to make basically a 2 months run, because it is going to stop when the model time is higher than the final date. So it does the first month restart, second month should be okay. RBCM version is 1.1. We're not going to do any post-processing. PI control is a scenario, pre-industrial run. I'm using the core mesh. That's all stuff that was predefined. I'm not changing this. Now this is important. I need to tell where the model code and binaries are actually lying. And this is in my home folder for workshop, ESM master, RBCM test. Good, this is predefined, it's okay. This should be okay. Sometimes you need to tell it exactly where to find the CF name table. Should be okay also. This refers to the same model dear, so you don't have to change it. Base dear is important. You need to say where the experiment actually is going to be written to. So all the data, input, forcing, output, restarts, where does that need to go? And the default is something with ESM experiments, but make sure that the part in front of it is also okay. Then you need to tell the model where to find the initial and forcing data. On Mistral there's a pool data called folder called pool data. For FESOM it is called pool data RBCM FESOM1, and we need to tell where the meshes are. So what did I really change? It is these 5 lines here, then this line, and some stuff up here and here. So not so much to change. Good. Let's go out of here. So the next thing that we would do is just fire it up and see what happens. So you start the script just by calling it in the command line. By giving option -E, you can give an experiment name. Let's call that workshop 1. If you don't give anything, the name of the experiment is going to be test. So, and now I'm going to run a check. I don't want it to submit to the batch system directly, because maybe I've done something wrong, maybe some data is missing. So I'm going to add -c that runs a check up to where usually the executables would be started, and then it finishes and tells me if that was okay or not. So let's see what happens. So first of all, you see that it's copying the ESM tools themselves into the folder. Then it gathers a lot of information. Here you can see most of the stuff that can go wrong, actually. RBCM, ECAM, FESOM are not restarted, or ASIS is not restarted. That means we are doing an initial run. So that is the information gathering process. Then we are going to the preparing the folder structure, not the work folder phase next. So we are copying, basically forcing and input data from the pool and from whatever we have given into this folder structure that we are going to see later. So maybe the names are changed of the files when copying, because the pool data sometimes has different names for the same files than are needed in the work folder, but the files are not changed, not yet. That happens in the next stage. So you see here that we don't need any restart files because we're doing an initial run. And now we start modifying the files in the folder structure. That is important because we are starting with default name lists, for example. And there you see it starts changing the name list of ECAM, changing the start and end date, the number of processors that are used, and a lot of other stuff. So today it seems that Mistral is rather slow, so we have a lot of time watching this. Usually that runs through pretty quickly, and we would be ready to see if everything works by now. Okay, but I mean, for the video it's not so bad actually that we have some time to look. Now we are changing the name list of FESOM. Also good, sometimes you need to remove entries from the FESOM name list. Here it warns us that some command NC rename was not found, which is not so bad. That was something that was needed for older FESOM restarts. I don't think that happens anymore. It tells you already what to do if you need that. Now we set up the work folder. Everything is copied in. We also get a list of the name lists that are actually used. And there we go. So the last bit now was really quick. So one thing that I want to show you is this part here. So here it would just go and start the execution of the run. So it tells you that it uses 432 processors for ECAM, and then the rest of the processors for FESOM. Also that ECAM has the small numbers of the processes and FESOM the higher ones. So that is the host file srun that would be used for job submission. Then it gives you a list of the work folder at this moment, so you can see if there is everything present. So if there was a broken link somewhere, you would see it flashing now, or a warning or something. So the final execution command that it would use to submit the job or to start the job would be this one. Not to submit, sorry, to start the simulation would be this one. And now the job stops and gives us a list of the setup that was actually used. So we see here all the files that were copied into the folder structure and then into the work, including the renaming if it was done. And the important thing is that setup is actually the last thing that you see here. So if there would be other chapters down here called missing, that would be a very bad sign. That means that probably your run would not really work and crash quickly because some file would not have been found. So from this point of view, I would think everything works out nicely and we are ready to go. So what we want to do, is we restart this job again, but this time we don't make a check. We just go and fire it up, and in the beginning it looks pretty similar, but it doesn't do as much as before. Gathers some of the information that is always needed. Let's wait a second. Yeah, and there we go. Now it's submitted to the batch system and the job should be running. Okay, we can try to find out if that works. And there we go. There is my job in the queue as usual. So that might take a while until that fires up and runs. And I will see you back once the job has run and show you the results of this.